Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well. I'm back with another Salesforce interview preparation video. In this video, we are going to cover few developer questions. So these questions are development specific questions. Okay, if you are an admin and if you are looking for some questions to prepare for interviews, then you can check out my playlist. I have made some videos for admins too. Now let's get started. The first question is, what is mixed DML operations error? Now, as you know, there are two types of objects in the Salesforce, setup and non-setup. So, non-setup objects are like your normal account, contact, usual, standard or custom objects. And setup objects are like your profile, user, layout, anything related to metadata. Okay, so these objects deal with metadata. So, when you try to perform DML on setup and non-setup object in a single transaction together, then you get mixed DML operations error. Okay. So example is inserting an account object and user with role in the same transaction. Okay. So here account object is nothing but your non-setup object and user with role is nothing but your setup object. So you are trying to insert these two objects in the same transaction. This will give you mixed DML operations error. Salesforce will not allow you to do this. Okay. Now the next question is, what is the reason that Salesforce introduced this error? So basically, Salesforce wanted to avoid incorrect access level permissions. Okay, so sometimes some S objects affect the user's access to the records in the org. So to avoid this kind of discrepancies or recursiveness, Salesforce throw this error. Okay, now I have explained this whole scenario in my other video. I have explained this in detail with an example in my mixed DML operations video. I will link that video down in the comment section and the description. You can learn about this more in that video, okay? So what are the ways to fix this mixed DML error? So suppose you are in Apex and you are trying to perform these two DMLs in the same transaction, then you have to separate one transaction by using future method, okay? Now, so future method will run in its own transaction, will start a new transaction where another DML will happen. It can be set up or non-set up. So one DML will remain in the Apex class and another DML will be moved to future method. Okay. So in this way, you can separate the transactions. Okay. And suppose if you are doing it in the flow, then you can use a screen or pause element or a remote action, anything that breaks the flow transaction and starts the new transaction. Okay. Now, I have explained these things in the detail in my mixed DML video. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. The next question is, what is Apex managed sharing? Now, normally we share records using profiles, permission set, then OWD, role hierarchy. There are lots of things. Still, there are some scenarios, there are some business requirements that do not get resolved by using any of this. When nothing is working, when scenario is too complex, then you have to use Apex managed sharing. Means you are actually coding it. You are actually using the share objects of each object. Suppose lead object is there. So lead object will have lead share object. Okay. So this lead share object is nothing but you're all sharing details of that objects. So Apex sharing is nothing but sharing the records programmatically. Okay. So when these above configurations do not work, the scenario is too complex, then you have to use Apex sharing. Okay. So if interviewers ask you about, can you elaborate how can we share the records programmatically? So you can say that all objects have the share object. Okay, so this is another object related to that object. So this share object will store all the sharing details. So I will paste an example for you on the screen. There you can see how the share object works. Okay. So this is nothing but Apex sharing. Okay. Then the next question is, what is the difference between managed and unmanaged packages? This is very common question. Interviewers ask this question. So as name says, managed package means they are all managed. You can't edit it. You can't do anything about it. Just like your mobile apps. You install WhatsApp, Instagram, all these things. You cannot edit the metadata. You cannot edit the code. You can just use it. It's the same way managed packages work in Salesforce. Okay. And unmanaged packages, once installed, will behave like the things you have created by yourself. And managed packages will be locked down from being edited. Okay. So difference is you can't customize the managed package you can customize the unmanaged package. Then the provider will automatically upgrade the solution in case of managed package. Like you get updates from different apps in your mobile. The Instagram gets updated, the WhatsApp gets updated, right? So the provider updates it. Same way. And in unmanaged package, it won't get automatically upgraded. You have to uninstall the package and then reinstall a new version. Okay. So this is not automatic and this is automatic. The contents of managed package will not get counted against your limits. Means that object limit, tab limit or app limits, they don't get counted towards your object limits, tab limit, app limits. Okay. In case of unmanaged package, the contents of the package do get count. They get counted against the limits in your org. Okay. So this is the main difference between managed package and unmanaged package. So just highlight these 3 points to the interviewer and you are done. Then the next question is, what is the use of trigger.isExecuting? So trigger.isExecuting we don't use often. So the simple use of this trigger.isExecuting is nothing but to identify the current transaction that is going on is of trigger or not. So suppose you have a method in the Apex class, okay? So this method, you want to call this method only when it is getting called from trigger. Okay, so you don't want to call this method suppose from, there is some invocable class that is getting called from flow. Now you don't want this invocable class to call this method. You just want to execute this code only when the trigger is getting executed. So in this case, how the system will identify that the current transaction that is going on is of trigger. So in that case, we can make use of trigger.isExecuting to check that if the method is getting called from trigger. Okay, so this is the use case of this. This will be only called from trigger when the record is inserted or updated or deleted, and not when it is called from flow or any other Aura component or AWC component. Okay, so this is to distinguish between the entry point, the source point. Okay. Then the last question is, can we call future methods in the test class? Now, many of you know the answer. Yes, we can call, obviously. But how? How to call or how to test future methods properly in the test class? So by asking this question, they just want to check your understanding of test.startTest and test.stopTest. Okay, now to test future methods, you have to enclose the code in test.startTest and test.stopTest. Now the main point over here is when you call the test.startTest, after that all async calls between this block will get collected. Okay, they are not executed. Okay, note this point. They are not executed yet. They just get collected. And now when the stop test gets executed, all these collected async calls are processed. They are processed synchronously. Okay. So if you put this assert before this stop test in between this block, it won't pass. You won't get the expected value. This future method is not yet executed. It will get executed only after test.stopTest. Okay. So this is the main part they want to hear about, that there are multiple processes, async processes. Suppose there is even batch in between this block. All these async processes will get collected and they will get processed synchronously after you reach to this point, test.stopTest. Okay, so this is the right way to test future method, and you will put assert statements out of this block after the test.stopTest. Okay, so this is the answer. So that's all about this video. I hope this video was helpful for you. You can check out my other videos. You can check out the playlist that I have on my channel for Salesforce interview preparation. So if you have liked this video, press the like button. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.